Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey. With me tonight, as always, is my good friend Drew Crawley. Drew, how are you, sir?
Howdy. I'm doing good, my friend. Yourself?
Doing well. Doing really well.
Good.
What did you get into this weekend?
I was going to say, we had quite the time this weekend. We went and saw our friend Alan do a little mash-in, do a little, not distilling, but some brewing in preparation for some distilling out at Beck's Mill. And then Halloween parties are in full swing, as you well know. So mostly Halloween partying and recovering from Halloween partying.
There always seems to be the recovery theme to how was your weekend when we're recording shows, Drew?
A lot of liquid IV, a lot of carbs on Sundays.
Okay.
That's the way we do it at this house.
Well, as for me, I saw a pretty good rock and roll show on Saturday night, and we're going to talk with the guys that I got to see here in just a few minutes. It is the band called Sweet Lady, based here in Louisville. And if you are in Louisville, you need to know more about them. And if you are outside of Louisville, there are some ways that you can see some of their music and hear what they're doing. But we'll get into a deep dive with these guys in just 1 minute. What I want to tell you about first, though, is the Bar Cart Co-op. Bar Cart is a collection of friends that produce whiskey content for the bourbon fans. We have a show called Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. They interview distillers from across the country and around the world. They talk about very specific, detailed distilling techniques. If you are a whiskey geek, you will dig it. Alan Bishop also has a show called If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. It touches on the spirit aspect of whiskey, but it also talks about the supernatural things that may be going on. And Alan does that show with his wife, Kim. And our friends, Pat and Mike, My Whiskey Den on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. You can see them on YouTube or on Facebook Live. They do a great show, and their craft whiskey is king. So we have one more quick announcement, and then we'll get going.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out, which do come out every single Wednesday on all of the services: Spotify, Apple Music, Google, maybe Amazon, definitely YouTube. And always hit that like button, but hit it an odd number of times, so then that way it stays as a like.
Thank you very much, Mike. Hey, tonight we are talking with the guys from Sweet Lady. We've got Blue, we've got Boomer, we've got Jordan. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad that you're here. We will get into some of the details of being in a band together in just a few minutes. But first, I want to give people a chance to get to know you guys as guys, because there's definitely a stage persona going on when you're at a Sweet Lady show. But
yeah, I know it's Jordan, right?
Right. Hey, I'll talk about that in a minute. He's getting there, and but maybe before the end of the show, we can come up with a nickname for him.
Sounds good.
Can we do that? All right, well, that's a goal. All right, but as we're getting to know you guys, let's take a drink of something first. What we're doing tonight with them, because they play a lot of different venues with bars and such. And if you've ever been, well, you've probably been to a few bars if you're listening to this show. But there are some bars where they've got a really deep whiskey collection to choose from, and there are some where it's pretty limited. And you may not want to try cocktails at some bars because it's kind of a gamble, because a lot of times they stink. So we're talking a little bit tonight about what are your best bets at a dive bar. And the first one we're going to try together is this Wild Turkey 101. So guys, if you can put a little Wild Turkey in your glass.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see. Let me try to blow this up. I don't know if we can see this or not. I have my Sweet Lady shot glass.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So that's what I'm drinking from right now. So As we're getting going here, first of all, cheers to a good show.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so we'll talk about Wild Turkey 101 in just a bit. But Blue, let's start with you, sir.
All right.
Because I think that you're pretty much the founder of the band, so to speak. So tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from, where you went to school, high school, and that kind of thing.
Okay. I was born and raised in Lebanon, Kentucky, which is right dead in the center of the state. And then grew up, went to Marion County High School there. Let's see. And then kind of was lost after high school, I would say, you're supposed to go to college. And I tried that. I just never really was interested in it. I thought I was. So I bounced around a couple different cities. And then was able to call Louisville home after a couple different revolutions. And I've been kind of here since, and it's kind of been home base.
Yeah.
And
How long you been in Louisville?
let's see, I lived here for 1 year right after college. And then I went to Bowling Green after that, I think. But I think I've been in the city for, say, 7 years, 8 years maybe now.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to say something like that. Close to 9.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. So a boy of the bluegrass. So did you grow up a bourbon drinker?
Yeah.
Of course, when you were of legal drinking age.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe some test runs prior to the 21. But yeah, that was kind of like, I guess my first drinks were bourbon. Sadly, with being a young man and not really having a distinguished palate, it was usually Jim Beam with some Mountain Dew. That's just kind of where it was back there. I thought it was the greatest thing at first, but I don't think I could stomach it anymore now. So, yeah, so it was kind of like that, hanging with friends, doing whatever, and then I actually, when I lived in Lexington for a couple of years, and I actually bartended at a bourbon bar.
Okay.
So I know a little bit about bourbon, probably more so than, or at least I used to know a little bit more about bourbon than I probably do now. But I was kind of in it for a while, so it's kind of a good home base.
Yeah.
I have some buddy. Let's see. I have a buddy that's New Riff. He's the head salesman around this region, so he's pushing. I think he was actually supposed to come to the show, but he was stuck in St. Louis, trying to, push his product out there. So he's got a really nice bourbon room that will put to shame a lot of things. There's been some good nights down there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think St. Louis Bourbon Festival was this past weekend, so it must have been.
Oh, it's probably what it was.
Yeah. Boomer, how about yourself? Are you a Louisville guy?
No. I was born and raised in a little town called Milan, Indiana.
All right.
Doubt anybody's ever heard of the place because literally to this day, cell phones still don't work there.
That's a lot of Indiana.
It was a little rough, but in and out of party bands. Basically, I hung out with a lot of people from Cincinnati because that was the closest city to that. So I just played with whatever band needed a bass player, and whatever. And I just went from band to band to band, and then at like 17, I got a wild hair and joined the military. Mm-hmm. So I was in the Army for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Immediately went to Kuwait, and then Germany, and then Bosnia, Kosovo. The list goes on. Let's put it that way. Out of my 12-year military career, I spent 8 years deployed. So wow, yeah, it was interesting.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it. But I ended up playing in some crazy bands. I mean, crazy. Like I have every once in a while I still get a residual check from a German death metal band that I was in. That I worked
Yes.
So yeah, been there, done that.
Okay.
Right on.
I've got to ask, what was the name of the German death metal band?
You know, it's still hard to pronounce. It was supposed to be further. What was it? Further something. It doesn't translate correctly, but it's like whatever.
Uh-huh.
I was like 19, and it was whatever. But yeah, it was interesting.
That would be interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit of that at least sometime. Yeah.
It was rough.
I think a little bit would go a long way, but
yeah. But they were just happy, you know. They were German military guys, and I was the American military guy. So all of my higher ups thought it would be great, you know, kind of having the two militaries work together, you know.
Sure.
And then they heard the music, and they're like, "Oh, never mind." I mean, that's like metal central over there. So I was just proud to be involved. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big drinker, but the alcohol over there, I mean, the beer is a meal in a glass.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I went over there at age 17, so it was legal to drink. And I'm drinking Hefeweizens and Dunkelweizens and all that. And then I come back to the States, and I'm like, what is this? So, yeah, it's my alcohol knowledge is a little screwed up. Put it that way.
Kind of came at it backwards, it sounds like.
A little bit. Like I drank something called Leningrad Cowboy. Yeah, which was an alcohol in Finland. And oddly enough, it was named after a band by the same name. And I ran into the singer probably 4 years ago, and he was playing at Headliners.
Really?
He was singing with the band Apocalyptica, which is those guys with the cellos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw him come out on stage, and I yelled. I was like, "Wow, Leningrad Cowboy!" And he freaked out. Made me come backstage. He's like, "How do you know that?"
That's cool.
Yeah.
Most people yell "Freebird" at a concert, but you know, whatever works for you.
People looked at me weird. Let's put it that way.
So, how long have you been in Louisville?
Let's see. We moved here because after I was done with the military, I went to Fort Knox because I got picked up for schools and all that stuff. And my wife was coming from Korea at the time. She was in the military also. So her and I met in Korea, and of course, now we have a 17-year-old kid, and it was 20 years ago. But so we've been in Louisville probably 12, 15 years now, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we just kind of moved out this way from Fort Knox because there wasn't a whole lot out there for us. So,
yeah.
She's from California, so Fort Knox is not her cup of tea.
I understand.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, anyway, we won't knock Fort Knox. Jordan, how about yourself? Are you a Kentucky guy, or are you from parts unknown as well?
I'm from Louisville, born and raised.
Well, there's one of us in the group. All right.
Yeah, just inside Oldham County. Went to North Oldham High School.
Yeah.
Mustangs. And I went to U of L. I got a communications degree at U of L. Big Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Blue messaged me on what app was it? Bandmix.
Bandmix or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You found him on an app.
Yeah, and I went over to his house and jammed, and been doing it about a year, I think, with the sweet lady.
Okay. So let's talk about Wild Turkey 101. And so how does this rate for you guys?
I've actually never been on the Wild Turkey train, mainly just because I saw it in so many parties, and I was already drinking something else. Sorry, drinking something else. So it really wasn't in my wheelhouse to grab. But now I know. I think is it Russell's Reserve? I think that's a Wild Turkey brand,
right?
Indeed.
Now that one has found its way in my lap a couple times. I will say that.
Yeah.
I've got a special sample of that I'll bring you next time I see you. So.
Oh, yeah. It won't go to the wall of collection. It probably will get drank.
Yeah. Well, we may just drink it right then and there, but we'll see.
There you go.
Boomer, Jordan, any thoughts on Wild Turkey?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was real good. It's goes down smooth, and it's better than when I used to drink cheap stuff, and I think this is pretty good. Yeah,
not bad. No complaints.
Yeah.
Rumor is the unpalatized bourbon drinker here.
I am, yes. Yeah.
So,
I'm not a big drinker, but for stuff like this, I like drinking for the occasion, and this is a good occasion.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Kevin, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, but you walk into a bar, especially if you're on the musician side of the night, and you don't want Jack Daniels. Most of us don't, anyway. If you have any kind of bourbon experience, Jameson's not really the thing. So if I see Wild Turkey, I kind of rejoice because I know I can taste that one all night through the set, and I know exactly where I'm going to be after each drink, and it's always a safe choice.
Yeah, I agree. It's very common, but it's common and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got really good standard bourbon flavors. What does bourbon taste like? It tastes like Wild Turkey 101. At least that's where it should start, and it get better from there. But I think it's great in terms of it's always usually the best value, one of the best values that you're going to find at a bar. Like last night at High Horse, I specifically ordered Wild Turkey 101 just to see, and it was $9 a pour, which is actually kind of high for what you see at a lot of bars. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you can get it for $5 or $6, but $9 is not going to break the bank by any means. Whereas if you start ratcheting upwards, you're going to get you can run up a bar tab pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're there for a while, or if you drink quickly, like I tend to do sometimes.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that it was $9. That kind of shocks me, honestly.
Yeah. I was a little surprised too. I thought it would be a little bit, at least a couple bucks cheaper than that. But again,
well, the place is called High Horse, so maybe it's just high price.
maybe. But no, I think Wild Turkey. If you're going to a bar, Wild Turkey 101 is a safe bet, and it's not going to blow your doors off as something. Wow, this is great. But if you're into bourbon at all, you've tried this, and you know what to expect. And in a lot of situations, knowing what to expect is pretty important. Mm-hmm. And I think going into an unfamiliar bar, if it's someplace where things are pretty expensive, if they don't have a store pick or a bar pick of a certain bourbon, then I will probably just navigate towards the bottom end of the whiskey list and find something that I know is not going to, tap me out by the end of the night. So, so where did you guys meet? Who met who first, and how did you guys get connected?
Boomer, do you want to take this?
Sure. Chris and I were actually in a band. Blue, pardon me. We were in a band together. Shoot, I don't know how many years ago it was, but both of us just kind of ended up in this band through like mutual friends, and then him and I were the only ones in the band that were actually like, rock stars. We were the only ones showing up dressed for the part,
right?
Like trying to perfect our art. We were like, so him and I just kind of ended up on the same side of the stage together every night, and then the band kind of imploded. I won't get into it, but it's a wild story. I'll tell you some other time. Mm-hmm. And the band kind of imploded, and everybody kind of didn't know what to do with themselves, and so we all kind of went our separate ways, and I ended up joining this other crazy band, which is another story. And then Chris ended up doing Sweet Lady. And, I spent forever wishing that I had not joined that other band, that I had just followed him and done this band.
Yeah.
And, Sweet Lady was just doing that music that I was like, man, I like this. It's got the energy. It's got the, it's not boring. It keeps you involved. As a musician, you always look for that that thing that's going to keep you in the music instead of standing up there on stage going, oh, I got to put on a show. I got to do this. And this is going to go. No, with Sweet Lady, every show we play is just, it is so much fun for us. And we're just hoping the rest of the crowd's having fun. But, you know, I'm watching him up on stage with, you know, other musicians going, I need to be up there with him. And weird circumstances happened after a while. And I, you know, quit the other crazy band because I was just kind of done with it. And then he was like, hey, I need a bass player. And I'm like, 100%. And never left. And of course, met Jordan, who I'd never met until, like, I think they had played a show opening for Tyler Bryant one night.
Yeah.
And I came, and it was Jordan's first night, first show with the band, and I was just like, that guy's got it. Yeah, I want to play with that dude. And so I've just been happy as hell ever since.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you all met through music in some way?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. It wasn't like you were next door neighbors or you met at the laundromat or.
Chris and I were two crazy people jumping around on stage, you know, and that's literally how we met.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, his word is true on there, and then I'll just take another throw another compliment towards Jordan. The Tyler Bryant show was his very first show with Sweet Lady, so we really threw him to the wolves, and man, he killed it. So it was awesome to finally have, you know. It was right then and there. I knew I had a brother in music that was just gonna that was able to, you know, fight off the tides and fight them off with me, and he definitely did it. So, and then whenever Boomer came on, it's just been the best thing ever. You know, Boomer is a really good friend. We've been talking about music since we met in that other band, and we went our separate ways for about a year. But we were always talking about gear and everything, and other bands that are doing certain things that we're questioning, like, why would you even do this? And, you know, so to have him back, it's like he was already a brother. So I feel like it's kind of a brotherhood where Boomer's the older brother, and then I think I'm the middle child that, you know, wants the attention. And then you got Jordan that's just the little brother that's just kicking ass, you know, quietly and secretly behind the drum.
Okay, so I want to kind of transition now from talking and get into more of the music side of things, even deeper. But before we do that, talk to me a little bit about, tell everybody where they can find the band. I know that you're on Facebook. I know that you're on Instagram. Where else can people find you? I mean, yeah, just the usual stuff. We are slowly building an EP. We have the majority of it done. I think we're got 2 tracks that we probably need to add vocals, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe throw another 1 or 2 on it. But we'll have an EP out next year. And, of course, we've released 2 singles prior to that. We released Hot Pressed on June 21st, the summer solstice. So we released that, and, you know, we got pretty good reception from it. And then we just released our second single, Red Handed. I guess it was October 7th. So that's across all platforms. That is Spotify, Apple, let's see, even Amazon, Dozer, anything like that. You can find the music itself. And then as far as communicating with the band, Facebook is the best. Instagram is just as good as that. We have an email that you can find it on any of our social media accounts if you really, really want to directly message us. And then, you know, just the general stuff. It's not hard to reach us. We're pretty, you know, very communicable, and we're quick to respond, especially if it's a pretty badass show. We're pretty quick to respond on that one. For sure.
We all like to play. So if somebody's like, hey, we need a band, we're like, I mean, our ears are already ringing. We're already there.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I've seen you guys live, I think 4 times now.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. When I hit show number 5, do I win a floral suit? Is that do I have, is there like a frequent flyer card that I get checked or something? But no.
Well, I think with every 5th show, we'll get you a floral koozie. And then what we do is after you hit so many shows, I'll get a tailor and we will sew those koozies too.
That works.
Make you that suit.
That works. Well,
because that's how it feels on. It feels just like it's a big old koozie on it.
If you are in the Louisville area, be sure to follow the band on Instagram and on Facebook so you know when they're playing. And I'll always promote their shows through Bourbon Turntable's Facebook account as well. This is a high energy show. You will not be bored on any level, audibly, visually, and otherwise. That was the first thing that struck me. They opened for the Cold Stairs, I guess August, I think maybe.
August 14th, I think. What it was.
Yeah, and the first band that came out was, well, let's just say it was rough around the edges, and be kind about it. But then you guys came out, and it was a full on performance. It was you're there to kick ass and take names, and it was high energy from the beginning, from the opening guitar riffs and the opening drum beats to the very end. It was high energy, and you held your own, and you set the table for the headliner band, the Cold Stairs, which I know that we're all fans of. But you guys are great. Really enjoy what you're doing, and I respect the approach you take to it, because you're not going through the motions in the slightest. It is a high energy, full on rock and roll show. So if you're in the area, or make it a point to get to the area when you see these guys are going to be playing, and
we play out of the area too.
Yeah, but wherever you're playing, we'll make sure that people know. We'll make sure they know. So let's take a pour of our second whiskey, which is Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. And let's talk about, let's talk about personal music background. So, and Jordan, I'll start with you. What was your first concert? Do you remember?
Ooh, the first big rock concert that I went to was probably Metallica and Godsmack and Freedom Hall when I was in like 8th grade, I think.
All right.
That was unbelievable show. That was, it blew my mind. That I was a huge Metallica fan. Lars Ulrich, big influence on me, and yeah, that really got me into the metal scene, really.
Now, have you played in a metal band before?
I played in a garage metal band. We'd never played out. The only other band that I played out with was actually a German polka band. Yeah, and we would wear lederhosen. We would go. I had a hat with feather in it. We went all out.
Okay, are there pictures of this? And when can we get them?
I could probably scrounge up some pictures of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And we need to see that.
That can be the thumbnail for the YouTube video for this episode.
Yeah. Well, German polka bands pay really well. It's surprising. I don't know why, but they pay a lot of money for it. Yeah, a lot more than people we get sometimes. So maybe we should just push German polka. I'm just putting it out there.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Boomer, how about you? You remember your first concert?
Yeah, my first big concert was a AC/DC Fly on the Wall tour. Saw that in Cincinnati when I was probably 9 or 10 years old. And that was like my first big, foray into rock music. And it was just the biggest I don't know. I just went nuts. I just
Yeah.
remember just not being able to do anything else but AC/DC for like 10 years.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
But I used to sneak out a lot as a teenager and go to many a concert.
Mhm.
And that first AC/DC concert just, I mean, it kicked off. I can't even tell you. It sparked something in me that just I had to get more.
Yeah.
And I'm still chasing more. You know, I go to every show I can. I love it. So, yeah.
Well, there's an AC/DC energy to your shows.
Kind of, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
But Blue's kind of doing the Angus Young and the Bon Scott role. So I don't know. We're going to get him one of those Britney Spears mics, you know. So,
yeah. Blue, how about you, sir? First concert?
Oh, I greatly remember it. It was Aerosmith and Kiss up here at Freedom Hall. It was my very first concert. Went with my dad. He was a huge Kiss fan growing up, and then I was a huge Aerosmith fan growing up. So
Okay.
we kind of got to see both of them, and it was. I think we were 3 rows from the front of the catwalk. So like we were like Steven Tyler. I think Steven Tyler threw a harmonica and it grazed my dad's head. I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't catch it, but
Take one for the team, Dad. Come on.
No, just throw your hand right there, take the harmonica. But yeah, it was a great show. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what German band were you in?
It was the Kalin band, Gilbert Kalin. He's the accordion player.
Yeah.
And he started the band as actually my dad had been in the band since I was a little kid. They used to play up at Huber's every year and go to all the Catholic church picnics in the fall, play at all those. And so that's what I did growing up in the fall, is go to those. And then their drummer ended up leaving, and they asked me to play, and I was in high school. You know?
Yeah.
And I played with them for a few years, and kind of had some health issues with band people that didn't allow us to continue with it. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was my first gigging experience was with them. Yeah.
So Jordan's been in the German band. Boomer's been in the German band. Blue, have you been in the German band?
I have not, and let's see. Unless UFO calls me or something like that, I don't think I will. But there are some good German bands out there. I will say that for sure.
Oh man, how about first album? Jordan, do you remember your first album?
My first rock album was Creed's Human Clay, I think, was probably my first rock album. And then shortly after that, I got all Metallica's early stuff, like their first 3 CDs up through like Injustice for All. And I listened to those for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's great.
Human Clay. That was what, the early mid-90s?
Yeah, it's probably mid to late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s, 2000.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I was in middle school, I think.
Okay.
We can find that.
Yep.
I think it was Human Clay, right?
Yeah.
The one with Higher. I think
1999. There we go.
Yeah, it was late 90s and early 2000s for sure.
All right.
Mark Tremonti. He's a hell of a guitarist.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Boomer, you remember your first album?
Yeah, and I'm going to be dating myself a little bit on this one. It was a 45. That's a vinyl record. Okay.
Yes.
You know, some of you don't know that. But it was The Police, and it was Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was my first album. Yeah.
Very good.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Cool. Blue, how about you, sir?
Well, mine's a little skewed. I remember a magazine that used to get in the mail that had, hundreds of albums that you can order on there. And I remember going through, and with permission from my mom, we selected multiple albums that were sent to us via mail. This was in 1995, 1996, around then. And I think I got, out of the selection, I got Highway to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
I got Kiss's Greatest Hits. And I'm trying to remember another one. There was something else, but I do remember those two the most. Kiss's Greatest Hits, and then Highway to Hell, which is, you know, a hell of an album. Goddamn. That's a good album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
what about early influences? What do you try to? Is there somebody you try to pattern after? Boomer, I've heard you make references on stage, like during sound checks and stuff.
Oh yeah,
more of this, less of that. So,
I mean, my number one, who I've been chasing since day one, is John Paul Jones.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that first Zeppelin album, and you could hear the bass. That's why I really hate like 80s rock and 80s metal. You can't hear the bass player at all. But you go to those Zeppelin albums, even on vinyl, I used to be able to turn left and right channel. You could hear Jimmy Page on the left, you could hear John Paul Jones on the right, you know?
Yes.
And I love those days, and I'm still chasing that. So I always use, you know, I always play like a Zeppelin song when I'm doing my sound check, just because, I don't know, it's in my blood. But I've chased his tone. I'm still, to this day, anything that he does, I'm learning it, I'm playing it, I'm listening to it. And of course, every time I play a Led Zeppelin tune, Blue chimes in, because he, of course, knows everything. And then we end up playing Zeppelin tunes in his basement all the time. So.
Yeah.
Blue, how about you? Any? What are your? Who do you try to? Have you tried to pattern yourself after? You know, or are you thinking this is the way that I think guitar should sound?
Well, you know, how long do we have for this? You know, this can go for a while here. Well, we'll just say my very first like early influence was definitely Joe Perry. I mean, I thought he was the coolest guy ever. Playing in the coolest band ever. It was just, I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours just playing everything he could touch. You know, hell, my first Les Paul that I ended up buying, I made sure I got the type of burst that he had. You know, mine's a standard. His is obviously a 59, so it's untouchable 59. But I wanted the same color on my guitar as he had. So he was my biggest influence growing up and, you know, cutting my teeth with the guitar. So a lot of it is kind of really embedded in my mind, just kind of how to play is based on him. And of course, more influences came in, and it's been flooded ever since. I'm a huge Queen fan, so Brian May. Every time we're in the studio, I'm always layering something just to get, you know, the Brian May tone and to see if it works for this particular song that we're doing. And then Brian May, the Jimmy Page, obviously super legendary tone, like monster. And then we get into like the blues influences, and you know, I'm a real big Peter Green fan. I think Peter Green has just kind of set the tone for everything as far as like the music itself, and really place notes where notes need to be played. And I know I can typically overplay a couple songs at a couple times, but you know, Peter Green was definitely in the back of my mind a little bit. And then, you know, him taking over for Eric Clapton in the Blues Breakers.
Blues Breakers, yep.
Yeah, Eric Clapton's another one that's really more of it's ironic that I never really associated so much with Clapton as I do now, going back and listening to older Clapton stuff, because like I really never, always kind of stayed away from Clapton. But I find myself in very common grounds with Clapton, especially around the Blues Breaker time frame. And then my holy grail guitarist that I think is just the best ever and untouchable be Gary Moore. So that's my number one guy. And when he went to the the blues in 1990 and brought out Still Got the Blues album. It's, you know, it's on play once a week at the house. It's awesome, great, and that's kind of where I've homed in for my sound, at least. Like, I want to play blues. I grew up a rock and roll guy, but I just love playing the blues. Every time I would write a song, even before starting Sweet Lady, it was always very bluesy, and when I wasn't trying to be, so I figured, why fight it? Let's actually write blues,
right?
And let's take the approach of blues rock. And it's like, I want to do it like Gary Moore did. And granted, I'm not the player of Gary Moore, and I'll never be able to touch that shadow that he's cast over everybody. But that's kind of where I, you know, lay in state as far as how I perceive my instrument and what I want it to sound like.
So are you like Thin Lizzy,
Gary
Moore?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thin Lizzy, Scott Gorham, and Brian Robertson, and even actually before them, Eric Bell. Let's see, the Vagabonds of the Western World album is my favorite Thin Lizzy album. It's so damn good, and it's, you know, Phil Lynott is probably one of my favorite vocalists and songwriters, just because it's very touching. Every song is speaks to the heart, and I wish that I had 10% of that ability. Yeah, honestly, because he is very poetic.
Yeah, Phil and that band, I don't think, get nearly enough credit for what they were and what they did.
I agree.
Yeah,
because I mean, you even look at the drummer Brian Downey. I mean, there's not very many people that can touch the stuff that he did. I've had a couple drummers, not Jordan. I've never asked Jordan to do it. So, but I've had a couple drummers basically say, I can't do this. You know, if we try to play a song and it's not coming out right. And I was like, well, it's just Brian Downey, man. You gotta, he doesn't sugarcoat it. It's full-fledged, you know, abilities. It's and I have, you know, if we ever did decide to do a Thin Lizzy song, I'm almost 100% positive Jordan can easily tackle Brian Downey.
We've never had to tell Jordan, hey, can you play better?
Yeah.
Bring it down a little bit.
So
way to turn it down. You might have to say that, but yeah.
So Jordan, that leads into you, sir. What are your inspirations? You talked about Lars from Metallica. Is that someone you try to emulate when you play, or because I get a little bit of a different vibe when I hear you and see you? But
yeah, so that Lars was an early inspiration. I kind of drifted towards more technical drummers. I was big into prog rock in high school. I loved Dream Theater and Mike Portnoy. He was a huge inspiration for me. Unbelievable drummer. The Rev for Avenged Sevenfold, rest in peace. He's one of my all-time favorite drummers, and his drum parts. The City of Evil album, I think, is maybe the best drum album of all time. One of my favorite albums of all time, just in general. And in high school, those are the two main inspirations that I had. When I got to college, I went on a big Tool kick for about 5 years, and all I did was just listen to Tool and Danny Carey. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I was real big into Tool and Danny Carey. And then the past couple years, I've been on a jazz fusion kick where I listen to Snarky Puppy. I'm just obsessed with them. And Larnell Lewis is, I think, one of the best drummers in the world, if not the best drummer in the world. And I try and fail to play Larnell Lewis drum parts, and he's a huge inspiration on me right now at the moment.
Because I was going to ask if there was some jazz in there, because I get that sense when you play. There's a very laid back feel to the way you play, but it's also completely on fire.
His drum solo last night,
it was incredible.
Oh yeah,
holy crap!
You can hear the jazz.
nothing against Boomer and Blue because they were great, but last night you kind of stole the show.
Thank you.
And one thing, let's find this picture here. All right, so usually Boomer and Blue are in concert attire. Let's say they're in their show threads, and you're usually in a t-shirt and jeans as you are in the photo here. Last night you're wearing a vest here, so my wife even commented on that. She goes, "Look at Jordan, he's got a vest on tonight. He's getting into this now." So but in all sincerity, an incredible performance on your part. And not that the others have not been great as well, but last night, especially that drum solo, it wasn't just let me see how fast I can play everything. It was incredibly musical and a little bit theatrical even. So that was pretty exciting to see, and how the band can kind of take that and incorporate more of that into the music that you guys write together and the things that you cover. So I think there's a lot of really good stuff ahead, because you guys kind of have it all going on. You've got the energy and enthusiasm of Blue, and Boomer he's the happy cat on stage, man. He's having a good time every single song, and then Jordan's just back there laying it down. Kind of has a bit of a Charlie Watts vibe to it, you know, just I'm going about my business, and then he cuts your throat with what he's doing. But
yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've been talking about me matching the attire of Boomer and Blue, and you know, I think it's a little bit of look good, play good, because I think that was the best show I'd ever played, and you know, that was the one show, the first show that I dressed up. So you know, maybe it's a confidence thing. We're gonna keep going with it, and I think that's gonna be a Sweet Lady staple. Is us showing up real sharp and
So we've got Blue, we've got Boomer. What about Bingo? Like Ringo, Bingo, drummer, Bingo. We all got 3 Bs. I don't know. We're just brainstorming here. So
you got to alliterate the nicknames for sure.
I'm open to all suggestions. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, guys, I wanted to ask you about your gear. You know, being in a touring or gigging band is tough. Making the choices of what you're going to haul around is tough as well. So tell me a little bit about your rigs, and then how much of that is influenced by what you're trying to do as an individual, and how much of it is influenced by your relationship with the other two in the band when you're making gear choices. So we can start with Boomer. You look the most intrigued by that question.
I am, because you can see my wall of stuff.
Yeah.
And I, just like any musician, you chase your tone. You just chase it, and you try to do what the band requires. And in previous bands, I just brought whatever was the lightest weight thing that was the loudest. Literally, that was it.
Yep.
Like the last band I was in, the guitar player from that old band, he said, "Why are you bringing out all the good stuff for Sweet Lady?" Well, I didn't see any of that stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this band deserves it? Well, no. I mean, it's just, I literally, whatever venue we're playing, I just literally look at all my stuff and the size of the speakers, and I just try to match what I think that venue is going to need, or I try to do, because I use 15-inch speakers when I play, because I don't want to step on what Blue is doing. So I want him to be able to handle his frequencies, and I'll stay on my side. You know what I mean? So I try to use bigger speakers, but if you're playing like in a metal band, you're going to use like the 410 cabs and things like that, because you get more punch. But with a band like this, you want to be heard, but you want to hold down that low end. So I use all my vintage gear. All of my old PV gear I love my old PV gear. It's just loud as can be, and it's punchy, and it works. And my old Fender bass, I think that one I play the most, because it's the old stuff just sounds better. It just does. I mean, good fight all day if they want, but I play an amp that I've had since I was 15 years old. I still use it on stage. I mean, I used that one last night. That one. And that's from 1976. That's the year I was born, you know? The
I
old
love it.
works.
Yep. I'm right there with you, man. I've got some old PV guitar amps that I just love from the, that mid '70s era. I love them. Yeah, can't beat them.
Bread and butter is the old PV stuff. I can't help it. I've got tons of it.
Very cool. Very cool. Jordan, what about you, man? Drumming, you got the most shit to haul in and out.
Yeah. So my choice of gear is mainly dependent on what type of venue and how big the venue is. And if it's a small space, I have certain cymbals that I bring. I have this Peisty Explosion Crash that is really loud that I try not to bring that unless we're playing outdoors or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the space, if my drums are all the same size, but sometimes I'll bring a 5-piece, sometimes I'll bring a 6-piece occasionally if it's a bigger set and it's a big stage. We got the space, but some of those stages are just really small and cramped, and we're kind of fighting for space. And I'm not trying to step on people's toes, so I try to generally stick to the 5-piece, even though Chris I know likes me bringing that extra floor tom a lot. But
I dig it.
It gets heavy though. It gets
Absolutely.
heavy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know there are drummers that get real picky about, house kits and the kick mic and the snare mic in particular. Do you care about those things? Do you haul your own stuff in and have it in the bag just in case they're stuck, or what's your approach to that?
I stay whatever they provide. I'll go with. Sometimes we'll provide the PA, and I'll bring a bass mic or bass drum mic and like an SM57 for my snare drum or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I'll stick with what they have. Luckily, we had a great sound guy and a great PA last night at High Horse because I was having problems getting my bass drum to sound good, and the sound guy got a hold of it, and it just sounded awesome instantly. So he kind of saved us last night. Yeah.
Great. Well, cool. Very, very awesome. Blue, what about you, man?
Well, I got a entire wall of amps down in the basement that these guys can contest to. That each practice I probably play out of a different amp each time, just to kind of see what I'm going for. But I did learn here recently when we recorded a song that is yet to be released. Keep checking on that. Like I play some slide guitar in Sweet Lady, and there's always been this real sweetness with the slide, and I've never gotten that before. And then when we went to the studio to record, I wasn't getting it anymore. And the only thing I can think of that I didn't have was my 1973 Super Reverb. I didn't bring it with me. So after that revelation, I'm pretty much set with the Super Reverb at every show now. I think I love it. It just brings out a certain sweetness. But I usually play 2 amps. I usually run a wet dry system. So that can, it really depends. I grew up a Marshall guy, so I want to always bring a Marshall, but I don't know. I'm slowly leaning down the Fender tube, and even though I still want to bring my Marshall, and it does have the growl that I want, but when you turn down that knob just a little bit, that Fender just sings really. But mainly anywhere from the 59 Plexi 100-watt or the 87X is usually what I'll bring. I've been experimenting with the JTM 45. Hell, I've brought out AC30 and a 1966 Fender Bassman blackface head. I mean, I
love it.
I've tried everything, man. It's I'm not scared to show up on a gig without playing an amp and trying it out. I think I did that at the Fox Den with you, Kevin. We had my wife bought me a Mesa Boogie Fillmore 100, and we drove up to Indy that day to pick it up. We got home at about 5 o'clock, and I needed to be at Fox Den at 6, so I just kept it in the truck and tried it out there. I thought it sounded pretty good, really.
Yeah.
I dig it. All right. Well, let me follow up to that just while we're on full guitar geared, nerd mode. This is a conversation I have with the guys in my band. If you could only take 3 pedals to a gig, what are the 3 that you're taking?
Ooh. Oh.
All right.
Got to keep it 3.
Is a tuner involved in that, or no?
What's
tuner?
that?
Does a tuner count or not?
Yeah, you can keep the tuner and the volume pedal. Everybody has to have those. Your 3 tone pedals.
I would say the Strymon Deco. I would bring my Clinch Effects. What is it? Echoplex is what I would bring. It's an Echoplex pedal. Or honestly, I probably scratch those and just actually bring my tape delay that I actually have. That's probably
there you go.
A little better, but we'll stick to pedals though. So I'll definitely say the Strymon Deco. That's kind of my go-to boost. I've been, just a little taste. I've been kind of backing off on the overdrive pedals itself. I just mainly want boost. So that would be one. The EP boost would be number 2. And then I would probably have to go with a delay. So let's just say the MXR carbon copy.
Yeah, that's a great one. Great one. Awesome. Very cool. Well, I wrote those down, so we'll see if we get any agreements. I like it.
All right.
We'll put out a poll on the Instagram story or something.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 great pedals. I mean, it's the Strymon Deco is kind of that was my EP boost until I just got the EP boost. So the Deco used to be always on, and then I would boost it with I think my Archer, which is kind of the clone. But then after I got the EP boost, that's always on, and then the Strymon itself is just kind of just give me just a little bit more compression and a little bit of a volume raise, and off we go.
Great.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this Evan Williams bottled in bond that we've been sipping on for a little bit here. Anybody have any thoughts on it?
I like it better than the Wild Turkey.
Okay.
I do.
You get a lot more of the sweetness on that one. Yeah.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's real sweet. It has great flavor.
I think I like the sweetness of it, but I think I like the smoothness of the Wild Turkey just a hair more. Honestly.
Yeah. I like them both, and wouldn't turn down a pour of either. But I would probably lean a little bit more towards the Wild Turkey myself. Evan Williams almost is a little too sweet sometimes, but I enjoy it. I think it's, again, for the money and being a bottled and bond product, it's tough to beat. Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like you said, I wouldn't be upset about either of those. The one thing I do love about the Evan Williams is the price point and the availability for a bottle. I know we're talking about, things to drink in dive bars, but if I'm having some folks over to the house and, maybe we're out of Old Forester that day or whatever, the Evan Williams for $15.99, and to know it's bottled in bond, it's going to stand up in a cocktail. I don't care if you put it on Diet Coke. I don't care if you chug out of the bottle all night. It's going to get the job done. And, whereas Wild Turkey, maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea, just some of the spicier components. So I think it has that going for it as well.
Yeah. Now, would you put that Evan Williams in a glass of Mountain Dew?
Absolutely.
For the price point that you can pay for Evan Williams, you can do whatever you want to with it, and it'll hold up too.
Yeah, I think Evan Williams. I assumed that was a pretty expensive bottle for how good it tastes. It's delicious.
Nope, it's a bargain. It really is. But don't tell them that, or they'll start raising the price again. All right, so go ahead and start pouring the last sample you've got, which I don't know how well you can see that. It's the bottle's kind of getting low. So let me come up here. This Four Roses limited edition from 2020. So sip on that for a little bit while we talk a little bit more. Okay, so a question I've always meant to ask you, and then when we talked about you guys being on the show, I thought, well, I'll just wait till we get you on here to ask. Where did the name come from?
The name Sweet Lady. This goes back to my love of Queen, and actually it is a Queen song off Night of the Opera.
Okay.
So I was discussing ideas of what the name could possibly be, and I've always liked, naming something in honor of something you really truly love, and I completely love Queen. So I wasn't going to miss an opportunity to take that chance, and came across Sweet Lady, and I really, really liked it. There was a couple modifications that were talked about, like, well, what if we do Sweetland? And we kind of settled on that for a second, but then I wrote it out and I looked at it and I thought about it for about 20 minutes, and I was like, no, man, we can't do Sweetland. We need to do Sweet Lady. Like, it rolls off the tongue. It's it's off one of the greatest albums ever produced in the history of the world. So couldn't miss that opportunity.
Also a Brian May song, right? He wrote that one, right?
I think so. Sweet Lady, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic album. But is there a specific reason you chose that specific song? Because I would think there's a lot of Queen songs that could lend themselves to band names, but
no specific reason. No, it's just I was thinking of, like, even some lyrics of stuff that they wrote, which all four were geniuses with the lyrics, which is kind of a very skilled trait in bands and a very rarity. Yeah. But it just, the way that it kind of rolled off the tongue, I liked more than let's say Death on Two Legs. So
well, you could have called it Fat Bottom Girl. Well,
yeah.
People might be expecting something a little bit different when they showed up to watch the band, though.
Fat Bottom Girl, I think people will be expecting to hear a lot of Queen songs and possibly a stripper pole coming down.
Well, Sweet Lady is not a band name that people tend to forget either.
Right.
You got three dudes on stage called Sweet Lady. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, we could, band could have been named anything, but most of the time you kind of forget the band name.
Yeah.
Especially, like, depending on the style of music, like metal bands, I can't keep them in check. I don't know who's who and what's what.
Right.
I'm like, you're amongst this and dead that and what? No clue. I mean, the Williams and the Sweet Ladies. That's.
I shot that down. I wouldn't be anywhere without these two gentlemen. So I don't want to be Blue Williams and the Sweet Ladies.
We're happy with that.
I don't appreciate. They would appreciate being called the Sweet Ladies in the set. So
you disappointed people. Jordan, sorry.
Yeah. But no, it's.
You could play different bars, perhaps, if you if you went that route. But anyway, so what do you want? Where do you want the band to go? What do you want to do?
Loaded question.
Let's see. When I started this band, I set a goal to be one of the best bands in Louisville. That's really all I cared about. I wanted to be, the word around town, I guess. Even if it was a band's band where it's lesser known, but with the public. But if you're in a band, you've heard of Sweet Lady and you've seen us or heard about me or Boomer or anybody and the skill that they bring to the band itself. And I will say that in my opinion, at the time was a great goal. And the more that we've been playing and the more that more feedback we've been getting, and the more people that have came up to us, I'm starting to think that goal was a little short-sighted, and we should probably reach just a little bit more and a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what the next step is for the band. We still want to be one of the best shows, one of the best, bands in Louisville. I don't go out there trying to seek being the greatest guitarist in Louisville, because that's such a relative topic. It's, people have different tastes and influences. I was never big in even though he was much appreciated, in this household for sure. But the Eddie Van Halen approach with the tapping, I don't really do. I just, that just doesn't fit my nature.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bend a note, and I want to hold it
Mm-hmm.
as long as possible, and just play one note for 20 seconds because it's how I'm feeling. So to be the best guitarist in Louisville, I don't want to do that, but I want to have the best tone. Boomer is the same way. And speaking for you, you're not out to be the best bassist. You want people to appreciate your tone, and that's like the greatest compliment that me and him can get is like, oh man, y'all have great tone. Like it's best band because y'all have great tone. And
Jordan is that because everybody wants our equipment, and we're like, you can't really get our equipment. It's not that easy. We get that a lot. People wanting to be like, oh, where can I get that? You can't. I'm sorry.
But that's just speaking for just me and him. I think Jordan wants to be known as the piccolo drummer.
I do love that snare. I love it.
It works.
But no, that's kind of what I wanted to do, and I feel like we're doing a hell of a job of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I want to start reaching out just a little more, and me and the fellas have had a couple talks about it, and I think we're all in agreement that, not just Louisville needs Sweet Lady, this whole damn region needs Sweet Lady. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pretty much starting next year, we're going to schedule out a nice little tour, and that's what we're going to do.
Because we've played some other cities. I mean, we've been down to Nashville. We play a lot in Lebanon, Kentucky, which is really fun. They love us down there. And, we branched out. We're playing in Evansville in January and
14.
We want to talk about that show in a minute. So,
yeah, that's kind of what, to wrap this up, that's what I want. I want to just be known as like a good, fun band. There's many times I go and watch a band that I really, really love, and they just are kind of duds up on stage, and it gets really, really boring. I haven't mentioned this, but I'm a 100% huge Darkness fan. And I don't know if you guys know or have ever seen a Darkness show or have watched a YouTube video of their show. It's completely high energy. So a lot of my stage performance is kind of in honor of that, because it's 100% energy, and it's so fun. And even if you don't know the show or any songs, you are having a blast, and that's kind of what I want.
And there's a Queen connection there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, their drummer now is Roger Taylor's son. So it's and I think the singer, prior to that, I think the singer had his knuckles tattooed with the Queen. It was their faces. So I think whenever Rufus joined the band, the singer had his dad's picture on his ring finger. But yeah, man, like, no one's gonna know all of our songs. Like, there's no way. We've been playing out for a year, but it's impossible because we haven't released that much music. So the only way for them to have fun, since they can't sing along, is to dance their ass off and just enjoy the show that's being put on. And I think that's a lost art almost nowadays, but some bands do it for sure. And I'll definitely, give them kudos for that. But I think that we do it just as good.
Yeah. And as far as being the best band in Louisville, I think you're certainly up there. I mean, I've seen quite a few of the bands in town, and there are some really good cover bands that are fun and have a pretty good following, but you know, that's kind of where that hits a ceiling at some point. And you guys do a really good mix of covers and original stuff, and you have a kind of a genre that you drill down into that you explore really well. So I think limiting yourself to being the best band in Louisville is probably a little small. So for what you've already accomplished,
we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't have many fans saying this, so it's great to hear it. You know.
Well, if I didn't mean it, then I probably would have been to one show, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So, but no, I think you guys have a lot of great things going on, and you know, I can't encourage people enough to seek you out. Now, you had mentioned the show coming up in Evansville in January. Is that something that we can talk about now, or is that still kind of on the QT? Do I need to go back and edit this out of the show?
I think that, I mean, it's confirmed and it's booked through them, and they have it on their list. I'm assuming that it's totally fine. So for us, we are opening for the Coastairs once again in Evansville. They invited us back. Super nice guys. We've been in contact with them since the show that you first saw us at Zanzibar. Actually, that night when I walked out and Chris was loading up his amp, he just kind of turned to me. He said, "We've had a lot of fans say that we hired you all, so we're going to hire you all to open for us back home whenever we play our next show." And I was like, "Oh,
I love that."
You know, I was out here going to my truck to, you know, look for my wallet because I couldn't find my wallet. So thank you. You know, but, so yeah, we've been in contact with them. We've talked to them. You know, I think Boomer's talked to Brian Moore almost every day or something like that.
Yeah, the Cold Stairs drummer Brian Mullins, him and I we talk all the time. They're just the greatest group of guys. They really are. Yeah. And I mean, they don't have that whole, you know, I'm a rock star thing going. They're just like, I don't know. They like hanging out with us. We like hanging out with them. It's fun.
Yeah, I've been talking to Chris, you know, just every now and then. I don't want to bug the guy. The guy's busy. So, you know, and, you know, the dude went and played on a cruise ship with Joe Bonamassa. So I try not to, like, poke the bear too much. I just want, hey, man, like, or throw a kudos every now and then. But, hell, I think we messaged a couple times this weekend. He was selling some gear and he was trying to sell it to me. I was like, man, I would love to buy it. You know, but, he's going for it. I think he knows if I bought it, it would at least stay here for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you kind of tried to stay back, and I'm like texting Brian going, "What's Joe like?"
Yeah, it's too. Which I think me and Chris's personalities are pretty close. You know, off stage, and then Boomer is very
personable.
Personable, yes. I think Brian is the same way, so I think it kind of works out.
Yeah. All right. Well, January 14th, and go ahead and mark it on your calendars, everybody. Be in Evansville that night because it'll be a fantastic show. I certainly plan to be there. So, all right. Drew, anything else?
No, you guys answered a lot of the questions, and I'm sure, you know, I'm going to try to sneak backstage at the Evansville show and ask you like 1,000 more questions, and we'll get real nerdy about guitar gear, and it'll be a good time, man. But yeah, thank you guys for being on. Anything else you want to promote? The single, Anything else show wise or release wise that's coming down the pike?
Right now it's still as far as more releases. I think we're going to probably do one more release before the EP. Release another single probably at the very beginning of the year, maybe right in time for the Cold Stare show. That probably would be the perfect spot to release it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would say within a month, we will probably have an EP, month or two. The EP will be out. We're planning on a 6-song EP. And it'll be a collection of the singles we've released with a couple unreleased tracks. And we're going to promote a tour. And we're actually going to try to find, anywhere in this region. We're going to try to play it. We're going to find some select dates and, select cities that we want to do and try to play. And after that, this is another small announcement. We've all been in talking again. We're actually going to do a special tribute next year in honor of the 50th anniversary of Tres Hombres by ZZ Top.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We are going to do a full-fledged ZZ Top tribute. This will be in the summer, around summer. We're still working out the dates for that, but it's going to be a Sweet Lady show. That's not going to change, but probably midway or even, we'll probably do 2 sets or a 3-set show. 1 set playing some of our songs, 2nd set playing Tres Hombres from front to back. Yep. In specific order that it was released. And we're very, very pumped about this.
We've dove in. I mean, seriously, we've all taken on the ZZ Top personas. We've all jumped in trying to get the tone and try to figure all the little stuff out.
Are you going to have the beards, though? Are you going to have the beards? That's the.
I'm still working on
getting started now.
Yeah. I think we're all going with the Frank Beard approach of the beard. So but yeah, it feels good to announce it. We're going to we're still hashing out a couple songs, and we still got a while, of course. But that is coming up next summer. We're planning on having a ball with it for sure. It was released in July of '73.
Yeah.
So July of 23 is when we will be doing it. There's a couple bands that have done some tribute albums, and I'll give them a mention. I think they're a great band. Mojo Thunder did Pronounce Leonard Skinner. I thought it was a fantastic show, and it led me to think, well, what I want to do that too, but what should I do? And it kind of fell in my lap. It's like, well, of course, why wouldn't we do ZZ Top? And it sounds like,
yeah. No, Mojo Thunder is a fantastic band. I've only seen them a couple of times. I think they're based out of Lexington, but
we played with them once. We played a festival.
They're great. I enjoy them a lot.
We still talk to them too. They're great.
Yeah. That's what's coming up next summer. Definitely mark your calendars for that. That's going to be super fun for us. Billy Gibbons is a top-notch, laid-back guitar player, and it's going to be fun to really incorporate a lot of their songs, which we kind of started doing, incorporate their songs in their sets just to be familiar with it. But it's going to be in fantastic shows for that. I will definitely say that. And hopefully a big selling point for a sold out crowd many times.
That's exciting. Boy, I'm geeked out now. That's awesome. Okay. Any individually, is there someplace that you would want people to be able to follow you on social, or we just want to follow the band?
It's up to everybody else, I guess. Jordan, you want anybody following you?
You can. I'm not too active on social media. If you message me on Facebook, I'll message you. That's about all. They're more the networking arm of the band than I am.
I would just say, definitely message the band. And then you can, if you feel like messaging us personally, that's not a problem at all. We're all nice guys. We're laid back. We all have jobs we go to right now until this music thing kicks off. But yeah, I mean, definitely reach out to us. Let us know. I mean, got any questions for us, or even like any more guitar questions or amp questions? I'm a big nerd about it too, man. Like I'll talk your head off about it. So, like I said, we're not bashful when it comes to what gear we play. So there's no secrets. It's just kind of get up there and play it.
I love it. Well, one of these nights we'll have to we'll grab a bourbon and maybe after a show and we can talk rigs and all that kind of stuff. That'd be a good time.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Drew, where can people find you on social?
Yep. So I'm on Twitter, mostly being an asshole at Drew Crawley 63, and then Instagram at Drew.Crawley63. That's where you can find most of the music stuff, and then Spotify, Apple Music. I'd be honored if you'd listen along to the stuff that's coming out.
Yep, you've got the first album, Tower Songs, that first EP that's out there, and a single called Stuck that'll be on the new album. So when will we expect to see some more music out there for everybody to hear from you?
Yeah, so at the time of this recording being released, there will be another single and then an acoustic kind of EP that's got 2 songs off Tower Songs and 1 unreleased track on it. So that'll just be kind of a for fun kind of. We're thinking maybe Black Friday, just put that out. Just some fun recordings that we did when we were messing around. So looking forward to that one being out there. Yeah,
very cool. As for Bourbon Turntable, you can find us on YouTube. So go on over there and hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see this show. You can see lots of prior shows, and it'll make sure that you do not miss any future shows. You can watch the show there. You can listen to the show on any streaming service as long as you like Apple or Spotify or Google. We have a Facebook page that we post all of our shows to. We've got a Facebook group that we've started where people can go in. They can post on there, hey, I'm listening to Allman Brothers and I'm drinking Evan Williams tonight. How about you? And you can tell people what you're listening to and what you're drinking. And we're just trying to build a little community of folks there. So, hey, there's Boomer. He's back. Hey, there he is.
Yay.
All right. So, Drew, and our next show coming up is going to be a fun one too.
Yes, we're going to have our friend Fred Swanson from Dancing Goat Distillery talking about all the really cool things they have going on over there. That's going to be a great conversation. Be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah, Fred's a really super nice guy, and we'll bring a little bit of a different angle to the music side of this. He's a cellist.
Ooh,
nice.
So he's played the cello for I think most of his life, and he's now the brand ambassador at Dancing Goat. So that'll be a bit of a different take music wise, I think. So that'll be a fun one to tune into. So guys, thank you very much for being on here. Looking forward to seeing you again on a stage somewhere soon, and hopefully we can have you back on here maybe when your EP drops, or when we're at this ZZ Top tribute show. I don't know. There's some good stuff going on, but until next time, on behalf of Drew, Blue, Boomer, and Jordan, or Bingo, or whatever nickname we're going to get this guy, cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin.